Today we discuss resolution principle. A variable or negation of a variable is called a literal. Okay, a variable or a negation of a variable is called a literal. Disjunction of literal is called a sum or it is known as clause. Conjunction of a literal is called a product. Then resolution principle states that for two clauses C1 and C2, if there is a literal L1 and L1 and L1 under C1, L1 in C1, L1 in C1. For two clauses C1 and C2, if there is a literal L1 in C1 that is complementary to a literal L2 in C2, then delete L1 and L2 from C1 and C2 respectively and construct the disjunction of the remaining clauses. The constructed clause is the resolvent of C1 and C2. For example, consider the two clauses C1 and C2. C1 P or Q or negation R. Also C2 negation P or negation S or T or U. Here C1 and C2 are clauses and PQ negation R, negation P, negation S, T, U are the literals. Here the disjunction of literals is clause. Okay. Here P in C1 and negation P in C2. By resolution principle, if there is a literal L1 in C1 and its complementary literal L2 in C2, then delete L1 and L2 from C1 and C2 respectively. Here P and negation P are complement to each other. So we delete P and negation P from C1 and C2 and the resolvent form is Q or negation Q or negation S or T or U. That is by deleting P and negation Q and arrange the remaining literals. In this manner we get resolvent of C1 and C2. Find the resolvent of C1 and C2. Find the resolvent of the following clause. So in first question, C1 is P or R and C2 is negation P or Q. Here P and negation P in C1 and the negation P in C2 are complementary to each other. So we delete these terms and the resolution of C1 and C2 is R or Q. Similarly, in the next problem, in the first clause C1 negation P or Q or R and C2 negation Q or S. Here Q and negation Q are complement to each other. So we cancel Q from C1 and negation Q from C2 and the resolution or resolvent of C1 and C2 is negation P or negation or R or S. Negation P or R or S is the resolvent of C1 and C2. Next is C1 negation P or Q and C2 is negation P or R. Here there is no element, there is no literal in C1 that is complementary to any literal in C2. In C1 their literals are negation P, Q and in C2 literals are negation P and R. So there is no literal in C1 that is complementary to any literal in C2. There is no resolvent of C1 and C2. There is no resolvent of C1 and C2. Next definition. Given a set S of clause, a resolution of C from S in finite sequence C1, C2, etc. Ck of clauses such that each Ci either in a clause in S or a resolvent of clauses preceding Ci. Okay, either the Ci is in S or it is a resolvent of clauses preceding Ci and Ck, that is equal to C. A deduction of empty clause from S is called a proof of S. Okay. For example, consider the set. Here, the a set with the three clauses are given. First one, negation P or Q. Second clause, negation Q. And third clause is P. From first and second clause, the resolvent is in first clause, there is a literal Q, and in second clause, there is a literal negation Q. Here Q and the negation Q are complement to each other in C1 and C2. So, we cancel out the literal Q and negation Q. We obtain with the clause negation Q. Okay, from 1 and 2, we obtain the resolvent negation P. We obtain the resolvent negation P. Then, resolvent of 3 and 4. Resolvent of 3 and 4. In 3, literal is P, and in 4, the literal is negation P. So, deleting P and negation P, we obtain an empty clause. So, here we get an empty clause. Hence, this is the proof of S.